Hey guys, it's Martin here of Disability Horizons. I'm joined today by John Hasty from DMD Pathfinders. So thanks for joining me, John.
Yeah, you're very welcome.
And the plan is to talk all things trains today, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, first off, obviously you're a wheelchair user, so I presume you faced a few barriers yourself, and then obviously with DMD Pathfinders as a community that you're working with, what are some of the general challenges that we're still seeing in 2019?
Yeah, so I think the biggest issues is really kind of getting assistance at stations, certainly from people I've spoken to at my own experiences when you need a ramp, and it's just kind of like communication breakdown with staff. Often um, they don't expect can get stuck on a train waiting for a ramp, or you have to kind of like argue with staff about kind of getting a ramp put down because you might they don't like to do it with uh, only a few minutes to spare, even though it only takes a few minutes. Um, and yeah, sometimes like the need to book ahead. So yeah, often just to make sure that you've got a ramp in place, especially if you've got a like partially staffed station, then you need to book ahead. I know when I was where I used to live, the station was unstaffed after like 7:30 in the evening. So if I was ever coming back, I just had to hope there was someone on the train to get me off, or I would have to book ahead. So um, it's all a bit of a palaver, really, that comes down to needing a ramp to get on and off the train.
Yeah, that's the main sort of solution would be that. I mean, obviously you and I have we've known each other a few years and been to similar conferences and had
Mm.
different chats and all the rest of it. But we've ended up sort of coming into this WhatsApp group that I joined a couple of days ago that's looking at quite a sort of more bigger, ambitious kind of solution really to this
Mm.
problem. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. So the idea is that um, what we want to see is more level boarding on trains. So that's technically where the platform is the same height as the train. So um, if you can just drive on and off the train without needing a ramp. Um, Basically, the kind of group formed around um, following an announcement in the Netherlands that they were going to make all trains uh, level boarding, so you could just roll on without a ramp by 2030. And the general feeling in the group was that we, in the UK, we're nowhere near that. We're not even really setting an ambition for that. And there are a few things happening um, that are really positive here, but it's about how can we make that a bit more of a national ambition. So, like in Greater Anglia, they recently introduced some low floor trains. So they actually match the height of the platform without needing to make any kind of infrastructure changes, any like, long kind of 6-month projects to upgrade the station. It's just basically putting in a train where the floor height matches the platform, which, would seem rather obvious. But that's a one-off situation, and only on a handful of routes and a handful of stations will people actually benefit from that. And then there's also some work being done in Merseyrail to actually again bring in the level boarding across the system, and that has taken some work to kind of standardize some of the platforms where they're not quite of a consistent height. But there's some things happening where generally we find most people don't even know that this is an option, and there's just no real ambition to make that happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think the kind of idea of having that commitment, as you say, the solution of having level access and having commitments easy to say in terms of the group and working towards that solution. What do you see as some of the challenges and hurdles in the way?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think we do have the kind of the technical solutions. So, you know, you look at other countries, what's happening, and you look at what's happening in certain parts of our country. We know how to do it, and I think really it is a lack of will. And you know, you often talk to industry professionals, and they'll give you a whole load of reasons why it's not suitable. You know, some of the platforms are curved. You can't have like platform humps like you have on the London Underground because different trains are kind of different widths, and particularly things like freight trains, they're big and wide, so they would hit anything that you kind of put in the way. So there's all sorts of reasons why, you know, it might be a bit challenging. And also there's a huge variation in like platform heights across the country. So there would be some work that needs to be done to standardize that. But I think what's interesting about the group that we put together is that we do actually have some people from the rail industry who are behind us and who say this absolutely can be done and it will need a rolling program of investment, but it's definitely possible. I think what's really powerful is that we are seeing in some areas some change. So, you know, these Greater Anglia trains, we can turn around to the other train companies and say, what are you doing? You know, this company have made this progress. What are you doing? I think that makes the case a lot stronger.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, you're saying this, you know, having some kind of commitment, like in the Netherlands, 2030, you know, not just with trains, it's general with disability or accessibility. That in such the conversations of austerity and cuts in the UK and the kind of that negative side of the whole conversation, it'd be lovely if as a country we could turn around and say, let's be a world leader, let's show the world how this can be good for society, good for business, and obviously good for disabled people to have that freedom of movement. So if anyone watching would like to support the campaigning and the progress, what's the best way for them to get involved?
So yeah, I mean, we're still kind of figuring out exactly what our next steps are, but we do have a kind of petition up and running, and so people can kind of come on and sign the petition. And also, you know, if people are really passionate about rail journeys and kind of really making a difference, then they're very welcome to join our WhatsApp group. It can sometimes get quite technical in terms of you know, figuring out the solutions and the different challenges, but and it's really about like working together to find solutions. So you know, we all have our own issues with accessing trains, and a lot of us are kind of taking to Twitter to kind of share those experiences, which I think is really important. But I think this group is just about like, what do we do now? Like, how do we actually solve these problems? So I think, you know, if anyone's really passionate about that, you know, the more the merrier in terms of kind of getting people to help with that.
Right. So you'd be okay, well, either you or I can share the petition in the comments, and then people can presumably private message you if they want to join the WhatsApp group. Yeah.
Yeah, best way is just to contact me, and I can point people.
Brilliant.
In the right direction.
Thank you for your time, John. Is there anything else you wanted to say before we finish off?
I think just probably making the point that this is more than just about access. So you know, this issue is important. Obviously because of the wheelchair access. I mean, you've got in 2017 to 18, there were 1.3 million requests for passenger assistance across the rail network. So, and if you think about like the staff that are required to help with that, you know, if things were different and if disabled people could just kind of turn up at a station, roll on a train, roll off when they get there, you know, so a lot more people would not need this kind of assistance. So it would make things easier and faster for everyone. I think also it's worth noting that it's a really important safety issue. So there was a report out yesterday by the ORR, which I think is the Office for Road and Rail. I may have that wrong, but anyway, it were in 2018 to 19, 7 people died at what's called the platform train interface, which is essentially the gap and the step between the platform and the train. So, you know, even if we take away the wheelchair access side of things, like making these changes, making trains level boarding can actually save lives.
Yeah, very well said. And if anyone watching wants to follow John's work as well with the DMD Pathfinders, is there a website you've got for the work you do there?
Yes, yeah, it's www.dmdpathfinders.org.uk.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time today, John, and look forward to seeing how the campaign develops.
Great. All right, thanks a lot.